Welcome to the Besties in the Books podcast, guys. I'm Liz.
And I'm Ashley. And today we're going to be delving into book 2 of the Kindred's Curse saga, which is Glow of the Everflame by Penn Cole, aka New York Times bestselling debut author of the series that we just got an interview to for you guys. Ooh.
So exciting. If you guys haven't caught that.
Yeah, we'll of course have it linked down in the description box and, everywhere. Check it out on our channel and everything, because that was cool hearing some behind the scenes action and what made Penn Cole want to write this story and DM's perspective and everything on that.
Yeah, it was a great interview. Mm-hmm. Super fun. She's just a fun person to talk to for sure.
Yeah.
So we're going to be discussing all things Glow of the Everflame. Obviously, if you're here, we already covered Spark of the Everflame. Stick around if you're interested in watching us also next time cover the doozy Heat of the Everflame.
Which we're still unraveling in our brains.
Yeah, seriously. But yeah, as we've talked about before, we had the privilege of meeting Penn Cole at Romantasy BookCon. And after hearing her speak on several author panels, we really were inspired by a lot of her takes on strong female characters and why she chose to write a lot of the themes that she did into these books. And so, yeah, we love the themes, we love the tropes, the characters, and so we want to do this deep dive for you guys. We do have Fable chats up for books 1 and 2 because our book club, Besties in the Book Club, did vote for both of them. So that's pretty cool. So if you guys want to go in and, chit chat with other people, spoiler free, but then also see kind of what we had to say, those will be up probably for quite a long time, probably until book 4 comes out at some point, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be doing our usual deep dive video with our response and reaction, our 5-sentence summary. We'll start off with a spoiler free star and spice rating so that if you guys are kind of wondering if you should continue on with the series, perhaps, then we'll kind of give you our 2 cents on that. But before we get into all of our, least favorite tropes, most favorite tropes, characters, etc., we just wanted to say thank you so much for being here.
Seriously, thank you guys so much for being here, taking time out of your day and your book to join us on this discussion that we are having all about the Kindred's Curse saga. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe anywhere you like to listen to your favorite podcasts, including YouTube. We do have a little goal of trying to hit 1,000 subscribers over on YouTube by this fall. So it'd help us out a lot if you went over there and just hit that little subscribe button. We're hanging out. Yes. We're vibing, we're live and in action. We always have book t-shirts that we like to wear and fun stuff like that, and you can check it out. But we're also on Instagram and TikTok at Besties in the Books podcast everywhere. And like Liz mentions, we do host a virtual book club, which is very stress-free. It's very, choose your own adventure. Yeah, very casual.
Adventure. Choose your own adventure.
Choose your own adventure. Tony Stark or Spider-Man. I don't know who Avengers are. But that's at Fable, and that's Besties in the Book Club. But also, of course, follow along on Instagram. That's where all the announcements and everything are made. But lives will be taking place on YouTube very soon for the book club. Probably have already happened when you're seeing this. I hope.
Yeah, we're tired of Instagram eating our lives.
Yeah, basically. They just eat it up. Literally. Yeah. It was actually this was the last live that we did before Enchantra was Spark and Glow. We did a combo since those were 2 months in a row. And I went to post everything, hit post. It just disappeared. Gone. Boom. Uncool. Nothing. Nowhere to be heard of from again. It's like an hour of talking. And a lot of you guys, you don't always have time to jump on the lives. So it's nice to be able to jump on into it later. So that was frustrating. But YouTube usually is pretty good about keeping everything. It just automatically saves. So.
Yeah. So go subscribe over there. That way you get all of the updates. For that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of fun stuff going on. I feel like we should just mention we've got Anne of Green Gables is going on. Full
Yep.
It's moving on forward in full force.
Yep,
So
I'm reading it
we're
with my
covering that.
9-year-old. She's loving it too, and I'm reading it for the first time. A lot of people have DM'd us that their kids are reading along with them, and I love that.
That's so exciting. I love it. It's a reread for me for the first 3 books. We are reading all 8. So that's been a really fun adventure. So we've got that going on. And then, obviously Besties in the Book Club we've got going on. Right now we're reading Shield of Sparrows, which obviously has been getting a ton of hype. So there's that. So we've always got a lot of different irons in the fire, lots of books that you can hop on. Something for everyone. If Kindred's Curse, is not your thing, or maybe you're reading it and you don't want to know anything about it yet, then maybe go check out one of the other reads we've got going on too. So there's that.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we just kick today off with, I feel like we haven't done just a regular old like faves and fails in kind of a while.
I know. All right, guys, we're going to chomp it up. Ready, go. No. So much has been going on. So lead the way, boo. What's your fave and fail that you want to talk about today?
Yeah, so I just picked from like the last month because I was like, whatever.
Fave and fail of recent lives, of days of our lives.
Yes, days of our lives. Yes. So my fail was, okay, so it kind of ties into my fave. So one of my faves from the last like little bit here is that I saw Book of Mormon for the first time.
Yes.
And it was so freaking good. We went out to Denver to see it at their theater there. I think it's like the Buell Theater in downtown Denver, which was a great theater. It was awesome.
Yeah.
The location was great. Like we had perfect seats. And I had never seen Book of Mormon and it was excellent. So
nice.
if South Park kind of humor is your vibe, then you definitely would like it for sure. But it's also just really clever, great, like I feel like the songs, like just go listen to the soundtrack, you know what I mean? Like see if that's like something that you'd find entertaining. But so that was definitely a fave for me. My fail was that I ended up getting super sick on that trip. Just like really bad cold. And so then I spent like the next couple weeks just like in the trenches because of that. Because, it's like when you get sick on vacation and then you like come home and everything just like falls apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, now that we're like midway through June, I'm finally feeling kind of normal-ish.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Like, I felt well for a while, but it's like I get behind in work, and then I get behind at home with, like, the house starts getting crazy, and the laundry gets out of control, and, like, all that kind of stuff. So it's nice to, like, be a little bit more on track. But I also wanted to give a shout-out to, I feel like movies are, like, making a comeback finally in a lot of different ways. Like, there's some good movies that have been coming out, which I feel like there was a really bad...
We've had a bad time
for a while.
Yeah.
Where like nothing good was coming out at all.
Yeah.
So we just went and saw Ballerina, which is like the John Wick spinoff. If any of you guys are into John Wick, we definitely are. I liked this movie way more than I anticipated. Like we kind of went and saw it because we've seen all the other John Wick movies and we like them and we're like, we'll see how this spinoff is. I liked it just as well, if not better, because it all focuses on an FMC instead of Keanu Reeves, which we all love Keanu. Like, don't get me wrong, but she definitely has like badass FMC from like our book's energy.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So definitely really violent, pretty gory. If that's not your thing, I get it. But definitely recommend if you can handle that kind of like action gore. You know what I mean? Because it was so good. It was so good. So there's that.
Nice.
And then I went and saw The Materialist last night.
Oh, how was it?
So it's not a rom-com, guys.
Yeah, no, I know. I didn't think it was a rom-com, but like old school romance vibes.
Yeah, it's more of like old school romance.
Not like old school, like what genre? What generation? Like 90s, 2000s maybe?
Yeah, like late 90s kind of. I feel like it had that vibe a little bit. So this, for anyone who doesn't know, this is the one with Dakota Johnson, Pedro Pascal, and Chris Evans. And so the previews and like ads and stuff I had seen for it made it seem like it was going to be more rom-com-y. So that's what I went into kind of like thinking it was going to be.
Yeah.
And then I'm a huge Dakota Johnson fan. I like Chris Evans because of Captain America and whatnot, but like Pedro Pascal, like he's fine. Like I liked him in Game of Thrones, but I'm not like obsessed with him like so many people are. But I was like, this is a good cast. Like this is probably going to be entertaining, and it was really good. Like
good.
I really enjoyed it, but just know it's not funny.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be funny. It's a drama basically with like a couple little laughy moments kind of here or there. But I really liked it, and I felt like for our contemporary romance readers, they would particularly enjoy it. I think. Yeah. So I was a little bit like thrown because I was expecting it to be kind of funny, and I was like, okay, like this is really serious. Like I don't know. Yeah. But it panned out great. It had an awesome the plot was really well thought out. I felt like the dialogue was really good. The writing was excellent. Like both of the main male characters gave written by a woman energy, 100%, and acted it really well. So yeah, I will definitely watch it again. Nice. For sure. Both of them I'll probably watch again.
Good.
So go see a movie because that way the movie industry won't completely die out.
Yeah, seriously. My goodness.
But yeah, so those are my faves of the recent past, and then obviously my fail was just sickness, which sucks no matter what.
Yeah, it's for sure. It's for sure. Well, I'll segue into that with one of my recent faves is also a movie. So my husband and I had a date night, which like rarely happens these days, but his birthday's coming up, and I'm like, let's make it happen. And he's like, oh, I really want to see this movie Friendship, which I had never heard of. Paul Rudd and Tim Robinson, which you might know from all the memes and all the reels. Like he's the one that, I mean, what's the like famous one? Like, I got to make money on this thing. It's so good. Like, and then the other one, I don't know. I always forget. I always blank when I'm telling people. But anyways, it's very weird humor. And then Paul Rudd, if you know Paul Rudd of like when he started in the movie industry, kind of like with comedies, it's that kind of humor, that awkward kind of humor, and
I love you, man,
you, man, kind of awkward, and like I'm sure there's another movie. There's like two movies that this kind of like is together, but like that awkward, sarcastic kind of humor. So if you like that, I got it. Okay, Friendship is like a blend of I Love You, Man and Cable Guy.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
It's not like, it's so funny. I don't want to like hype it up too much. Like go into it blind, like only know that and then go, because sometimes if you hype things up too much, then it's a letdown. But the whole theater was busting up laughing the whole time because you have to like that humor. So know that going into it, if you like that, I know you'll like it, but those listeners out there, if you like our weird humor, you'll get it, Yeah. Those who get it. Those who don't. Sorry. Yeah. But it was so weird and so funny. So we can't wait to watch it again. I'm hoping that it's out. If you don't watch it before we see you, I'm hoping it's out that we can watch it when we go to your house.
We'll just watch it when you're here. Yeah, that sounds good.
I don't know that your husband will love it. I don't know if he likes that kind of humor, but
he's a tough nut to crack. He is. I will say that when he does laugh at a movie, it really surprises me. Like if we're in the movie theater and I hear a little laugh from him, I'm like, whoa. This must be like really funny to him. Yeah.
But it's very like that slow, not Napoleon Dynamite, I don't want to say that, but how it's slow, but it's also not. And if you have to listen to it's a lot of facial expressions. There's physical comedy, but not like the stupid Paul Blart physical comedy. No offense, Paul Blart. But like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
So, we had a great time. I love it. And then also, awesome. It's summer now. Kids are off school, so we've made it a point to go to the beach a couple times. So that's been awesome. My fail. Okay.
Oh, no.
Buckle up, guys, because I got to paint the picture. I got to set the scene. So it was just Father's Day, and we went fishing, okay? I'm going to preface this by saying this is a very traumatic story, but good news is my dog knows how to swim. So...
Okay.
Liz hasn't heard this yet.
No, I have not.
This happened yesterday. So we're at this little lake and we have to pick this spot to fish. My husband does, I should say. And because there's only so many places and the lake is a little low. So it's pretty slopey where we had to go because the good spot's already picked. We got there kind of late. We're not early risers by any means. So we're in this area by ourselves. And there's a bit of a slope. I took the dog. I'm responsible for the dog. I don't have a fishing license. That's all of them. I just deal with the dog. And so I take her up to go to the bathroom out of the way of everybody. And it's super slopey. And I'm wearing stupid shoes because I'm an idiot. I don't know. And she is like... She listens to me, but she's obsessed with my husband in like a weird way. So anytime we're like away from him for like 5 seconds, it's like, oh my gosh, where have you been? So she sees him and I'm walking her down the mountain and she's having a leash, obviously. And I have to just let her go because she's going to pull me down. It's going to be bad news bears. So I just let her go. I'm only like 10 feet from them. So I'm like, he'll grab it or I'll be right behind her. I'm not like slow, I'll catch her. It's fine. And she just goes and sits next to him. So I'm like I go to grab her leash. It happened in 5 seconds. She looks at my husband, looks at the lake. It has about maybe 5 feet of the like algae and maybe like a little bit of reeds, but it's not too high. It's just a few inches of reeds, but it's very green. So, and when I take her around my neighborhood, if there's a bunch of green, tall grass, she just goes nuts in it and gets the zoomies. So that's what I think she intended, because she doesn't usually care about water. She's not really interested. She'll like dip her toe in, but at the beach, she's not in the water like the dog. She's just like, I'm staying back with you guys. I'm cool. So it's not that she's against water, but she doesn't really care right now. And we hadn't taken her swimming specifically yet because we haven't really had an opportunity. So I went to go grab the leash. She looks at my husband, looks at the grass, jumps full speed into it, which I'm thinking is like 2 inches. No, sinks into the water, past algae, but floats back up. And she just instantly, like, thank God dogs have like the natural ability to swim, because she just starts paddling. And then it was like a little sleep, but we're like, come on, like try not to freak her out. Like, hey, Molly, like, come on, let's go. And my dog, by the way, is a horse dog. She's just tapped at 85 pounds at a year old and a giant puppy. And she's been really good. She's made like a lot of progress in training and stuff, but she has those puppy moments where it's like, I'm going to go get the zoomies in this grass. That's not grass. That is water. So I'm trying to like encourage her to come out, because I can tell she's paddling fine. It's just trying to figure out a non-slippery spot. So she goes right forward out. It's too slippery. And then she starts coming to the other side. I'm like getting ready to take off my shoes to pull her out, but I also don't want her to drown me because she's 85-pound wet dog. And so I'm about to like get in and grab her, but she's able to pull herself out. But I literally, you guys, what childhood trauma flashed before my eyes in that like 5-second span that she was in the water. I'm like, this is like Never-Ending Story with the horse, because she has like her chest harness on with the leash, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to pull her out of this muck. It's not really muck, but I'm gonna have to pull her out of the water like the horse in Never-Ending Story. Oh, but she got out right away. But
it's like the freaking bog of sadness.
Yeah, that's so funny. Oh no, my dog. But luckily, we didn't overreact. Internally, I was overreacting, but outwardly, because I don't want to traumatize my dog either. We're around water a lot, and so it was fine. Everything was fine. But it was a fail. And you know what? Lessons have been learned. So, hey, that's all we can do, right? And then we just like got her. Obviously, she shook all over me, but I'm like, hey, whatever. And we all just started laughing. And we probably like people across the lake saw the whole thing. It was not a very big lake. It just was not expecting. None of us expected it to be like 5 feet deep.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's so funny. It reminds me of those, like, have you seen any of those, like, reels or whatever of, like, the newscaster who's just talking and there's, like, a sinkhole behind him or, like, something like that, and then someone just, like, goes to cross the street and falls in. He's like, oh, another one. Have you seen those? Yeah. That's what I pictured. It's just, like, Molly going in and just falling down in there.
If you ever see anybody's, Instagram stories like mine, I was posting about, look at our lake day. So fun. That's the stuff you don't see behind the scenes, like being drenched because our dog got in the water and she's muddy, and then my kids are complaining because they're hot and there's tons of bugs. So you definitely, it's a good reminder that you guys, you're watching people's Instagram stories or reels, TikToks. You're seeing the highlights most of the time. Yeah, although I did wish I had it on video, but
that would
alas.
Be funny. Okay, so should we get into Glow of the Everflame and our spoiler-free review?
Let's do it. It's time. That's what the people are here for. Let's go.
Okay. You want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Go first. Go ahead.
Okay. I rated Glow of the Everflame a 5-star. Because I felt like the things that Spark of the Everflame was, in my opinion, lacking a little bit. Like, it definitely, like, built up from there. So it was a good book, too, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, I obviously knew that it was, like, part of a bigger series, so I'm not expecting everything to get wrapped up or anything like that. But I felt like it was a really good way to build on all the characters and the plot and everything like that from book 1 to make it more complex and interesting, and to keep that slow burn going while still keeping our full attention and then creating even more of a complex world to go into book 3. So it was a 5-star read for me for sure.
Nice. Good.
Yeah.
Yep. What about Spice?
Spice, I think I rated the first one a 1 Spice. Yeah, I would probably say that this one would be like a 1 Spice as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of slow burning stuff, guys.
Yeah.
Just know. It's like the slow burn of the century.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Takes the cake so far.
Takes the cake so far, but in a good way. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not annoying.
It's not a slow burn to nowhere, and it's not annoying either. Yeah. You just have to have faith in the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
You know, a month ago when we did the live for this one, I was struggling with the 4 or 5 stars, and I can't say it's changed. I'm still struggling between 4 and 5 stars. I'm just being honest. If I believed in half, which I don't, I'd give it 4.5. But just because the only reason why I, right now, after only, let's say, reading Glow of the Everflame, because that's what we're saying right now, it's just not one of those books that I think I'm going to lose sleep about in a good way and is life-changing. However, I'm very much enjoying it. And I do like it a lot. I liked the first book a lot, and I do like this one just as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm liking all the dynamics. I like that things are definitely not as predictable as a fantasy reader as they could be. I think that the choices that Penn Cole is making is not what you would think that she would make with different characters. So that's kind of refreshing. Mm-hmm. So that's all I'll say about that without giving anything away.
Without spoiling anything. Yeah. No, I like that. Good assessment. Yeah, I feel like it was in my opinion, a really great book too. Mm-hmm. Because that's what I thought when I read book 1 and rated it 4 stars. I was like, I would love for this to pick up a little bit and turn into a 5-star. Yeah. And so that's what this did for me. So yeah.
It definitely did pick up. With all of these star ratings, when it comes to especially fantasy such as this, with the 4th book not even being out yet at the time of filming this, sometimes we've found when we do rereads, it totally changes because there's different tie-ins and then you're more connected and things like that. But as of right now, that's where I land. So, yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
So, should we get into our spoiler section and our 5-sentence summary?
Let's go. Glow of the Everflame.
That was a good one.
Yeah, thanks. Spoilers up ahead, guys. Watch out. Enter Gong Man. Let's go.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Good.
Let's do this.
5 sentences, Liz, because I need a refresher too.
Here we go. Okay. Glow of the Everflame in 5 sentences or less. DM refuses to acknowledge that she is the new Queen of Lumnos, insisting that she is hallucinating due to her refusal to consume the flame root. With Teller and Lily's support, DM retreats to the Royal Hunting Lodge, which her blood unlocks, further proving she is a royal and, in fact, descended, causing her to mostly accept her destiny.
1.
Luther comes to the lodge to retrieve her, accusing her of killing the king, while she accuses him of doing horrible things like killing half-blood children. She eventually concedes in order to keep Sarai, her Gryvern, who she instantly bonds with, from coming to find her, but also because secretly she has decided to use her power to take down the Descended from the inside.
2.
Luther, ever the loyal soldier, introduces DM as their new queen to everyone in House Courbois and suggests that in order to keep the other houses from challenging her crown, that she form an alliance and pretend to be of the Courbois family. Ultimately, DM agrees and spends much of the time before her coronation ball getting to know all the relevant political players of the house, including Eleanor, her first official advisor, Alix, her war general, and Taryn, Luther's cousin, while Luther, who has gained her trust by admitting he has been aiding in the half-breed children's escape and helping the Guardians and her mom, manages to use her emotions to pull her magic out of her, revealing her strength.
3.
Longest sentence ever.
I was going to say, bit of a long one, but we'll allow it.
It's hard when we start getting into the books that are like 600 plus pages.
Yeah, good luck with Heat. It's like 1,000 and like 1,000 so much is happening. Oh my gosh.
Good luck. Okay. DM decides to make her dad one of her top war advisors, but does not take into consideration how much the descendant hate humans, and he is murdered by a stranger. I put that in air quotes because we don't really know.
Yeah.
Causing DM to fall into a dark depression only Teller and Luther help to pull her out of before she has to complete the challenging. At the challenging, all houses band together to prevent her from becoming queen, but she accepts that her power is part of her, fights the challenger of her choosing with her immense power, and wins, ultimately sparing his life and showing mercy until he turns on her, so she has no choice but to kill him. What a dum-dum
He had it coming. He had it coming.
DM decides not to marry Henry because he was not there for her when she needed him most.
Also, he sucks. Sorry.
Also, he sucks. Yeah. And travels to the island of, how do you say it? Curiel?
Oh, dang it. I forgot. I don't know.
Yeah, but you guys know, right? The island with Luther, who promises she'll get to see her mother soon, where she meets with the other leaders of the realms to officially become queen. But when her blood touches the ancient godstone as part of their ritual, it and everything around it explodes.
5. And a great job to you, Liz. Woohoo.
Yeah, so ends on a pretty good cliffhanger yet again.
Yeah.
So we love that. I feel like that one of the things I do really enjoy about this series is that Spark of the Everflame obviously ended on a really interesting cliffhanger. So did Glow. But I do feel like they're also wrapped up in a really nice way too. Like it's not like I didn't feel like the ending of either book was like needlessly chaotic, or like I closed the book and was like, great, now I'm so confused, I don't know what happened, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So I did appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Agreed.
Okay, so what were 3 tropes that you loved from good old Glow of the Everflame?
Found family.
Yeah, that's on mine too.
Yep. The royal court too. She's finding out people are cool, man. Also not cool, but like obviously the ones that she likes are cool.
Yeah.
Witty banter. And court and political intrigue within the different royal families. Yeah.
Yeah. So I put found family. I love series that make the side characters just as interesting as the main characters.
Yeah, totally.
I think that's one of the reasons why Throne of Glass is such a like beloved series, because it's like we loved so many characters. And I feel like, you know, with Taryn, with Alix, like even Sarai, like I feel like we're getting that. And, or even, you know, with her brother.
Yeah, with her brother, with Luther's sister. She's a badass. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just a lot of great characters. So I definitely put found family. I also put political subterfuge and scheming. So, you know, that's something that I find super fascinating. Big Game of Thrones fan over here for that reason. Because, I don't know, it makes it, like, a little bit more realistic, in my opinion, because it's, like, a constant vie for power, you know?
Yeah.
And then I put slow burn / man yearning.
Yeah.
It took me a second to figure out what that meant. But, yeah, slow burn. But, yeah, basically, you know that Luther is just, like, he's tormented, you know?
Yeah.
And I love that back and forth that they've got going on throughout this whole book.
Yeah,
and, you know, arguably some of the last book, too. So, yes. What about a trope that you did not like?
Locked into, like, a bad blood magical agreement?
Yep.
Yep. Did you put the same thing?
Yep.
Wow!
Literally. Because I'm tired of it. It's like... Stop doing that. Like have you ever read a fantasy book before?
Come on, DM. Haven't you ever learned anything? Golly.
Don't you know yet that it's a bad idea to enter into a blood bargain with literally any other magical being or demon or any other entity at all? You know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah.
Like we know it's a bad idea. Yeah. But hey. I guess it has to happen.
Yeah, it happened, I guess. Yeah.
What about a micro trope that you either liked or disliked?
Well, it stood out to me this time, so I'll mention it. Training sequence, of some sort. Mm-hmm. It just was only kind of touched on, so I would have wanted it to be done a little differently, from my personal opinion. Just seemed like she could have been better prepared for things and her magic, because we only kind of touch on it. But I also am one to hate a training montage. So I'm conflicted on this one. It stood out to me for whatever it is.
Well, I think what makes it unique is that, by definition, DM is the most powerful descended in the realm.
Right.
So theoretically, I think that it's like, how do you train the most powerful descended in the realm, right? And so I think that's why, like, pretty much all we get is Luther, like, basically needling her until it comes out. You know what I mean? Because it's like, it makes her a little bit different of an FMC, which I kind of almost appreciate, because it's like she has to learn it on her own. And Luther kind of gives her the space to, like, do that. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like in a lot of other books, it's like, I almost feel like the male main character is like the superior warrior who has to, like, quote unquote teach the FMC how to fight.
Yeah.
And I think Luther's like, no, I'm here. I'm here to support you, and Alex and Taryn are as well, but, like, not in that kind of way. You know what I mean? Like, they're there to support her, but not necessarily to, like, teach her the ways.
Yeah, well, and I appreciate that she already has training from her family, how to be a good warrior. So it's really just pulling out her magic. But yeah, I just felt like, that definitely stood out to me, the training sequence, but only because it felt like could have been a little bit more. But hey.
Yeah, like, it was minimal.
It was very minimal. For how big of his epic, like, challenge this is what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
My favorite microtrope was Dragon Bestie.
Oh, yeah.
I love Sarai. I have from the very beginning, and she's one of my favorite characters for sure. So I really appreciate that, like, dragon bond that they have.
Yes, agreed.
So obviously, these books are exploding everywhere.
Yeah.
They're getting super popular. You can find them. I mean, I think I've seen them at Target now. Like, you can find them kind of everywhere.
I think they're coming out with the limited edition paperbacks right now that have the beautiful stenciled edges.
I just got an email from Arcane Society that our box that's coming is special editions. And I am so excited because they're so pretty.
Oh, nice.
Oh my God, they're so pretty.
Nice.
Yeah. I will say, most of the books, because I get an Arcane Society box, I want to say, like, every 2 months, and most of the books that I get in there, I have already, but they're usually ones I liked a lot.
Yeah.
But then in, like, a fancy new version, so it's fun. But do you feel like these books deserve the hype and popularity that
definitely. Especially reading them and how it's not, like I said, you expect her to make decisions a certain way, and she doesn't. So that's refreshing. Yeah. As frustrating as sometimes it can be. It's just very realistic, FMC, I think. Because we are kind of getting a different DM in this book than we got with the first. Because she's a different person. Like, she had all of this power, magic, political... so much change in a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
How would any of us handle that?
Well, and she's literally and figuratively less muted, right? She's, like, doesn't have the flame root in her bloodstream anymore, like, muting all of her feelings, emotions, and magic.
Yeah.
But then I think as she experiences more things and just goes through more of this crazy stuff, she's growing as a person, obviously. So she's learning how to be herself more and, like, wield that power, literal and figurative. I really appreciate that, too.
Yeah.
It's like, the best way I can describe it is, like, I feel like people lots of times want to criticize, like, some of our favorite FMCs, but then it's like, do you remember what it was like to be 20?
Yeah.
You know? It's like watching that show that I love on HBO that came out forever ago, but I watched it somewhat recently, called Girls. You know, I know a lot of people love that, but it's, like, literally about these young women, probably ages 20 to 24-ish, just living their lives. And it's like, watching it can be so frustrating because you're like, why are you making this decision? You're so dumb. And then you'll sit back for a second and I'd be like, well, when I was in college, I probably would have done that.
Yeah. Well, Yep.
So, hey. So, yeah, I'm like, I feel like that's kind of how it is with DM, where it's like we can get frustrated with her choices, but it's like she's making the choice that she sees to be the best option given her minimal experience and age, I think.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's trying to still stay true to herself while making adjustments to her new world. I mean, and she didn't even like the Descended before, and now she's basically one of them, you know, and having to grapple between 2 feet in both states. I don't know, like straddling the line. And what would that look like? So I really appreciate that Penn is exploring this in a different way, because I think there's a lot of people probably listening to that DM drives them crazy. They can't stand her. They like this book, but they don't like her. But, you know, I just feel like it's kind of a lose-lose at this point, where if she just made her another Alan Galifianakis. That's what Alan Galifianus. Is that right? Did I say it right?
Yeah. Yes.
If she made it just another one of her, you know, then you're going to get criticized as being that, you know? So this is definitely a different take on an FMC. And I just appreciate that, because what would you do if you suddenly had this power?
Well, and that's incredibly difficult, because it's like, you know, one of the things we talked to Penn about that I think is really awesome about this series is like that redefinition of like strength and what that means. And in DM's case, you know, her hill that she's ready to die on is the fact that she doesn't want the Descended to suffer, and she doesn't want the mortal humans to suffer either. Like she wants to figure out like, how can we cohabitate in this world in a way that, you know, is mutually beneficial for everyone, or as many people as possible, with as little bloodshed as possible. And so, you know, I mean, she's essentially trying to like do her absolute best to like minimize the hierarchy that they've had going on for the last several hundred years. So that's a huge task to place on the shoulders of like a 20-year-old who with an identity crisis, essentially.
And there's so many opportunities for her to be stabby, which she chooses not to be, which is something we're not really used to in fantasy, right? It's very easy to just throw the blade around, you know?
Well, because I feel like that's complicated. It's complicated to be a female main character who shows mercy, because that's very, very easily reduced to weakness. So I feel like the balance there is really great. I feel like a lot of our favorite FMCs are stabby because, you know, that's something that they're really not supposed to be. And so that shows strength. But I think this is going out on another limb, saying like, no, I'm trained and capable of being stabby, but I'm choosing not to be. That's a big deal.
Exactly. Very well said. Exactly.
So let's see here. What was your favorite part of this book
basically everything that we just said. Like her very real struggle with being good, you know, whatever definition that is, what her version is, and just being like everybody else, you know, being stabby, not choosing violence. I think in a world that is very violent is challenging. So I like that lens that Penn is bringing to this. What about you?
I mean, even just her sparing the life of her challenger there at the end, you know, and then only killing him when basically she had no other options. You know what I mean? It was either her or him. So I really liked that. My favorite part was when the inner circle, or for this conversation, in my notes I've been calling them the cadre, right? The inner circle vow themselves to DM at the challenging. That was one of the best moments in my opinion, because it was like that second when DM realizes, and the reader realizes too, that they're like in it for the long haul, like they're diehard, like it's officially the found family that we're going to be working with through the duration of the series. So I love that. And then I also put down when Luther says this, and then I put this quote here. I should put all 4 of your heads on a pike for treason. I just assaulted the queen, and you cowards stood there and watched me do it. The next time someone lays a hand on her and you don't kill them where they stand, I'll carve out your eyeballs and feed them to the hounds. It doesn't matter if it's me or the regent or Blessed Mother Lumnos herself. Do your damn jobs and protect our queen. So that's when like the guard outside of her room lets him in. And I was like, I love that so much, because he's just such a grumpy, but like at the same time, he's so in love with her. It's so sweet. That's so sweet. What about your least favorite part?
Well, Dia making that stupid freaking deal with Remus. Come on. I know we talked about it, but I was literally screaming, like, what are you doing? But hey,
Yeah.
it worked out.
It did work out.
So hey, I was surprised. I was like, oh, this is going to bite her in the butt. And Penn Cole was like, no, it didn't.
Yeah.
It worked out.
Which is refreshing.
It is.
It's kind of like, I don't hate it as much as miscommunication, but it's up there because it's like you see the conflict happening before it happens, and it's frustrating because they're making these mistakes that you don't want them to make.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But then it worked out. So I appreciated that. It wasn't, because I think so oftentimes we've seen these deals being made with the Fae and everything. We talked about it on a recent book we covered. I don't remember which one it was that you said that was like you hated that. Because it makes it predictable, because you're like, okay, well, this is going to be a problem, and then because it wasn't, it redeemed it. But still in that moment, I was like, no. Yeah.
Well, that's why I said it gives like miscommunication vibes because I get so frustrated when that's happening. And whenever you have an author who throws a curveball in there and you think it's going to be a miscommunication, but then they choose to talk and work it out and it's not, it's like such a relief. It's like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I didn't have to go through that again.
I think because it's happened so often that it feels lazy when it's like, it's just they got to throw something in there. So it's nice when it's not.
My least favorite part was, this is what I put, when all the stupid kingdoms banded together to challenge her essentially out of pure pressure like dummies.
Yeah.
That's what I put. I hated that. I was like, really? Come on. Like, we weren't supposed to like that, so obviously it was meant for us to dislike it. And then when Luther tries to sacrifice himself, that frustrated me. I was like, dude.
Yeah.
We get it. But, like, come on.
That thing about all the royal houses banding together, though, because of peer pressure, sure sounds like art imitating life, don't it?
Interesting,
guys. Interesting. Let that marinate for a sec.
Books aren't political. Stop it. Okay, so who is your favorite character?
Sarai, the Gryvern. Yeah, you talked about that, so agreed.
She's great.
Loved her.
Yeah, that's what I put. I put everyone. I said I love the inner circle so much. So Taryn, Alix, Eleanor, and Sarai is who I specifically put down. Yeah. But I feel like we can't forget, what's her brother's name? I'm literally forgetting his name.
Oh, can't forget it. Already forgot it. Henry. No, not Henry. No.
No.
William. Alan Galifianakis. I don't remember. We already forgot. Her brother. Someone's screaming it right now.
Teller.
Yeah.
So we can't forget Teller.
Close. Will Tell. William Teller.
There you go. Okay.
Sure.
Well, there you go. Kind of.
Yeah.
What about your least favorite character?
Remus. Even his name.
Yeah, Remus sucks.
Yeah.
It's hard because it's like, I forget that he's freaking Luther's dad.
That's why he sucks.
You know what I mean?
More.
I know, but it's like, I'll be like, God, this guy sucks. Like, can't they get rid of him? And then I'm like, oh my God, it's Luther's dad. I forget, like, constantly that it's Luther's dad.
I literally picture the Hunchback of Notre Dame guy, too. So it doesn't help. He's the worst. Not the Hunchback, but like...
I thought you meant the Hunchback.
No, that's pretty funny, though. No,
the
creepy church guy with the hat. The hat
I
and
got
cape,
it.
too.
I was like, I don't understand why.
He's nice. Okay. What's wrong with him?
Yeah, he is nice.
No.
I picture more of like a Jafar type.
Yeah.
You know? Kind of like waiting in the wings, all creepy.
Yeah.
You know, just like...
Opportunist, for sure.
An opportunist, yeah. My least favorite character was Oralee. Come for me, I don't care. She's pissing me off in this book, and I feel like she is causing more harm than good by doing what she's doing and being who she's being. She's basically living a double life, okay?
Yeah.
And so it's like, I feel as though she just pissed me off because she could have clued DM into some of these things so that we didn't end up with all of these issues.
Yeah. Yeah. And we see a glimpse of actually her at the end there too. It was like the epilogue maybe. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So she was my least favorite character, like, at this point, because she's like the frustrating one who I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I
all
think
this
you
could have
think
been
you're doing
avoided.
the right thing, but it could have been avoided. Yeah. Or at least panned out differently.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. Any feminist themes that stood out to you in this book?
I mean, we kind of already talked about it, but that strength in non-violent ways.
Yep.
Yeah. That was the main one for me this round.
Yeah, I put strength and compassion and empathy.
Yeah.
Mercy over vengeance.
Yeah.
Being inherently worthy to wield the power that is inside of us all along.
Beautiful. Oh, I also put the push against societal expectations, especially in the royal court. So advocating for Luther's sister and Ellen, is that her name? And
Eleanor.
And Teller, and just different relationships and things like that, and encouraging all of them to kind of push back a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Resistance, for sure.
Resistance.
I put emotion is not weak or inherently feminine. Logic is not strong or inherently masculine. So I think it's like that. DM is a really good example of turning those kind of very binary belief systems on their head. So I appreciated that for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. What about ways that perhaps DM stands out as an FMC, or anything that you really appreciated about her character in this book?
Honestly, all the things that we've kind of already discussed. We kind of went in there a little bit. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head or in my notes that we haven't already touched on today.
Okay. Yeah, I just put that she isn't rejecting her power and is standing firm in her belief that she can bring peace and justice to both sides and minimize casualties. So she's thinking in both and terms instead of black and white terms.
Yes.
So she's using both logic and emotion to guide her position.
Yeah.
So I think that that's really useful because obviously, you know, if you're a woman growing up in this world, you understand how that works. But, you know, because of the fact that oftentimes if we choose to show emotion, it is equated with weakness or, you know, being illogical or incapable of like solving a problem because we're too emotional, right? Quote unquote. So I think that what's great is that she's very emotional about these topics, as she should be, but she's allowed to hold that, as we all are, with logic and decision making to be an even better leader.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I really liked that. And then we got to bring Luther up. Do we still feel like he is being a feminist?
Yeah, absolutely. He had every makings to be able to throw a hissy fit about not being the one chosen to hold the crown, right?
Yeah.
And instead, he steps back and he props her up and he pushes her to fall into that power. You know, encourages it. Not pushes, but supports. Very supportive.
Support.
Yeah.
Luther is for sure one of the most, he's like Rowan level supportive.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like that is, yeah, that definitely makes him a feminist for sure. There's just no other way around it, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I really appreciate his character a lot. What about any quotes that stood out to you? Do you have any written down
I
this
have.
time?
If a man made you doubt whether his love for you would survive anything, he does not deserve you.
Yeah, good old Luther. Oh, I wrote down so many quotes, guys. And this was like my pared down. So this is one that came from her dad. If you are outnumbered or overwhelmed, or if all seems lost, just keep moving onward until the very last breath. And that ends up being one of her mantras throughout. So I did really like that. I did not need to surrender to my power in helpless submission, nor did I need to beg it to come save me. All this time, I had been waiting for the godhood to embrace me when what I really needed to do was embrace myself.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Let's see. What else? Once upon a time, I had been a person of happiness and joy. I'd laughed as deeply as I'd loved. I'd made lighthearted jokes instead of cruel insults or threats. I'd been patient and compassionate, quick to forgive. This woman I had become now, I despised her. She was strong, undeniably so, but in all of the wrong ways. Strength should be fueled by love just as easily as hate. I had known that once, and I desperately wanted to find that part of myself again. So it's going back to kind of those same themes that we were talking about before. And I could go on all day, like literally, as we were saying before, this book is like 600 plus pages and I highlighted a million things. Yeah. You know, Luther also has a lot of good lines.
Yeah,
so.
he does. He does.
How would you say that the spice was in this book? Do you have any notes on that?
It's got that slow burn. It's burning. In a good way, like we said. So I'm enjoying it.
Well, I put, you know, spice is good. It's because we know that they have some other deeper connection.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. We don't know what that is with the Descended, right? Like, are they fated mates? Are they, like, we know that they've had those visions of themselves on battlefields. You know, was it in the past? Is it in the future? We don't really know. But we know that they have a greater connection. Luther knows something.
Yeah.
Like, we know Luther knows something that he's not telling us about. And he's fighting it. So it's like it's like that perfect balance.
Because he wants her to choose.
Yep.
You know? Especially since she's half, you know, mortal.
Yeah.
Might feel differently. So he wants her to come up with it on her own. So I appreciate that. Another supportive, you know, check in the box.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
What about, will you read sequels?
Already am, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Like, even if we weren't doing this series for the podcast, I would still read sequels because there's so much I need to know. Like, there's so many more things, like, that I want to find out. You know, like, I put here, like, WTF, like, what happened with the Heartstone?
Yeah.
Who is her father?
Yeah.
What is her mom's plan? What are the depths of her powers? And what does this have to do with Luther? Like, there's just so many, like, unanswered questions, but not in a bad way, but just in a way that, like, is building this really intricate world. And so, yeah, even if we weren't reading it for the podcast, I would absolutely still continue on, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What about the audiobook? Did you read the audiobook at all, or did you just do Kindle, or what did you do?
Yeah, so for Spark, I physically read it. Glow, I switched to audiobook. Loved it. Great. Voice, 10 out of 10. Going good.
I agree. Yeah. I bounced back and forth for both books, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. And yeah, I love the audiobook narrator is great.
Yeah.
For sure. Not cringe whatsoever. Like, she does all of the voices really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would highly recommend the audiobook if that's more of your jam, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Any final words on this before we get into some reviews?
No. Don't got them.
All right. So, reviews from the people for Glow of the Everflame.
Let's go.
I did Goodreads. Where did you pull yours from?
I got Goodreads. I have the bad reviews. You have the good reviews?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. You want me to start with the bad?
Yeah, let's start with the bad. We'll end with the good.
All right. We got, what's our total here? We have 158,577 ratings. That's a lot.
Yep.
Overall, 4.35 stars.
Pretty good.
So very good. Very good. Very good. This book hasn't been out that long, even though it was published first indie, right? And then maybe a year.
Yeah, I don't know.
She first published it indie, then pulled it to, you know, relaunch traditional, something like that. So that's good. That's a lot of reviews. But we're going to start with the bad stars. So 1 star. Here we go. That way we get a nice pooling of everybody's opinions. It says, thank God that's over. By far my most disappointing read of the year. DM takes my #1 spot for least favorite FMC of all time. The most upsetting part about this to me is that there were things I did like about the book, but in the end, DM was the series' demise for me and was incapable of looking past being one of the most insufferable characters I have ever read. That's kind of a lot of what I saw people saying. You know, I was watching like some TikTok reviews and stuff. It's just people really don't like DM. That and struggling with the slow burn. So, hey.
Yeah.
1 star. I promise no one is as utterly disappointed in this as I am. It just did not hit. At the end of book 1, I was really eager to see how the story continued. Felt that the story was only just beginning and could catapult itself to top-tier romantasy status. But unfortunately, I was not obsessed with the direction of the plot events, to put it lightly, dare I say. And please no one be offended because this is genuinely saddens me. But a lot of things were coming across as cringy to me. DM's decisions were constantly so out of pocket. I was literally the meme of this woman with the math equations floating around in her head. Yeah. Someone says, just hot garbage. FMC is trash. Really? I read the book 3 only because there aren't any good wikis to tell me what's happening. Well, they continued. 1 star, but you still continued? Interesting.
That's kind of weird to me.
Yeah. Like, you're being dramatic with the 1 star.
Yeah, like, seriously.
if you kept on reading. Okay. Yeah, I mean, honestly, over and over, like I said, it's a lot of people do not like DM, which, like, I get. She's very frustrating. But I think if you know that it's deliberate, it helps. You know what I mean? So maybe I'm biased in my take on DM because I know that Penn very purposely wrote her the way that she did. And I can see her as someone who's struggling with all of this pressure that she's going to be under now, everything in her life changing. Yeah, having those emotional aspects changing because not having the flame root, I give her more grace than if it was just like a frustrating FMC.
Yeah, I guess I appreciate a realistic FMC as well. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. What would you do in this situation? I'd probably just die. You know what I mean? Like, I would just be dead, like, instantly. Like, okay, like, I didn't make it through any of the stuff, Yeah. But yeah, so I agree with you. I think maybe have a little bit of grace for these characters not being literally perfect.
Like perfect. Yeah. Or stabby.
Or stabby. Okay, so lots of 5-star reviews, of course. Kezia rated at 5 stars. Wow, a book that evokes every emotion imaginable is a rare find, and this one did just that. What an exhilarating experience it was to dive into these pages. After the first book set such a high standard, my expectations were through the roof, and I'm thrilled to say that the sequel didn't just meet them, it exceeded them spectacularly. So
nice.
Yeah, I loved that. This one, Flora rated at 5 stars. Everything hurts so bad after this. God. This one was great too. Charity, 5 stars. Wow, Penn Cole. Just create a cliffhanger and push me off of it. Why don't you? Josie, 5 stars. Oh my God, I'm screaming. This book was pure perfection. I am so impressed by the series. It just keeps getting better and better. The slow burn romance, the plot, the twists. I cannot wait for more DM and Luther in the next book. I am absolutely feral over them. This will forever be a favorite of mine.
Yeah.
So
nice.
You know, you're either here for the slow burn and for the fallible FMC, or that makes you mad. It kind of seems like, and that's fine. There's something for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Okay, so I think that we pretty much covered everything from this book 2, Glow of the Everflame. That way we're nice and prepared for the doozy of Heat of the Everflame. I'm like wondering how long book 4 is going to be too. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I know.
Because there's still so many, there's so much stuff. So much stuff we need to figure out. Okay.
Yeah. Whew.
So if you feel like we've covered it, should we just wrap it up with a smash or pass?
Unhinged, smash or pass. Let's go.
So this is if you were in high school. So don't make it weird, okay?
Yeah, got it.
If you were in high school, smash or pass, you have to pick one. Do you pick Zach or do you pick Slater?
I don't even remember which one's which.
Zach is the blonde-haired one. Slater is like the dark-haired one who kind of had like a mullet.
I think I saw pros and cons to both back in the day. Yeah. Yeah. I don't really remember anything about their personalities because I only watched Saved by the Bell like a few times. So I guess based off the look, I don't know. I gotta choose. Well, I think high school me probably would have picked Either one. they're neck and neck.
Wait,
I don't know.
Ashley is fully Y choose at this moment, so that's fine.
Oh yeah. Because I wasn't like fully like all right for either of them, but I wasn't like no either. You know? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, either is fine. Yeah, help me out
Our
here.
high school experience.
Because it's the dimples that want to get me.
Yeah.
But the man, it's very in sync vibes to the blonde one. So knowing the boys I would choose in the mainstream media back then, I'm going to go with the blonde one.
With the blonde one?
Because he's very,
With Zach?
yeah, he's very in sync.
Yeah.
Justin Timberlake vibes, and I was all about that.
Yeah, he was kind of like the good guy. You know, Slater was a little bit more the bad boy. I would have picked Slater for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just
See, if I
way
knew
of
more about their
things.
personality, it probably would have changed things, but I don't.
I'm curious, and, you know, hopefully we've talked about doing an episode about this in the future, but I think we may have talked about it a little bit on the podcast. The reason why this came up for me in a Smash or Pass is because of that book, One in a Millennial, where she has a whole chapter dedicated to, like, millennial popular TV. So obviously Saved by the Bell is on there. She talks about how problematic both characters are, and now I'm, like, interested to go back and, like, maybe watch some a little bit just to find out.
Yeah.
So either way,
it
sounds like it's not a great idea, but hey.
Yeah.
Who would you guys
was the
choose?
90s. Yeah. Okay, for me, I have another 90s throwback for you.
Okay. Love it.
Unhinged, Smash or Pass.
Okay.
Bill Nye, the science guy.
I mean,
This is because I just saw someone make like a thirst trap video
I
of
love
him
that.
came across my feed, and it was hilarious. And I was like, well, maybe then. It was so
what did
funny.
he look like when he was young? Do we know?
Yeah, because that's what it was. It was like you know how they do it, like the weird like edits that they do of people. They did it a lot with the guy that does Snow and Ballad of Songbirds.
Okay.
It's like the zooming in and the slow, and they made it more angsty looking.
Yeah.
Like rebellious. It's good bone structure.
It's so funny. He does have good bone structure. I did a quick Google, and apparently people are saying that young Bill Nye looks shockingly like Daniel Tosh. And I'm like, that is true. So Google that if you want a little treat.
Yeah, he does.
I'm going to say pass on looks, but smash on personality because, you know, he changed all of our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Knowing what I know now, smash.
Smash, just straight away.
It's a good advocate for PBS and everything as well, too.
That's true.
Public funding. Yeah. I can get on board with that.
Nice.
All right, you guys. Well, I think that about does it for this episode of Kindred's Curse coverage.
Yep. Kindred's
Back to you
Curse
in the
coverage.
studio. I felt like a news reporter there for a second.
Go read the next 1,000 pages and then get back to us, okay?
Yeah, get to your homework because not next week, but the week after will be our third episode installment, not counting the interview. We're trying to do it every other week, as you notice, in case, those who aren't reading it, they get a little break. You have time to make sure you read Heat of the Everflame before the next one comes out. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe anywhere you like to listen to your favorite podcast, including YouTube. And you guys, we'll see you
next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Bye.